Hi, welcome or welcome back. My name is Yu Wing. You can call me Yu Win or Win, and I'm happy that we get to be together whenever and wherever you are finding this video. So I like to start with sharing a practice, and the practice that I wanted to share today is something that I've derived after reading the book Chatter by Ethan Kross. He provides different strategies to help us with our self talk. And one of the things he shares is psychological distancing and how that can help us to gain perspective. And in gaining perspective, we may be able to practice emotional regulation and to improve decision making. And so, what I do is before I start my morning practice, I will come up with some affirmations, right? And my affirmations are I am statements. I like how I am statements talk about identity. They talk about, who you are and who you want to become. So, for example, this morning, I thought, I am whole, I am source energy, and I'm leveling up. And then the practice is to also include you are statements. So, as if somebody else is talking to me, as if um, maybe I'm getting encouragement or feedback from someone else. And so, then these you are statements this morning were you are whole, you are source energy, you are leveling up, you win. And so I invite you to try it, maybe by thinking the thoughts in your head, writing it down, saying it out loud, and just another possible tool for your toolbox. Great. So, what I wanted to talk to you about today is some of the things I have discovered along my journey that have been helpful that not a lot of people know about or talk about, or maybe are just not as popular and common knowledge. And so, if you have any that you wouldn't mind sharing with me, feel free to message or comment. So, one of the first things that came to mind as I was thinking about this was um, so if you are employed as a W 2 employee, somebody who's on their payroll, not as a contractor, right? Not like a 1099. Even if you're part time, that you may have access to EAP or Employment Assistance Program. And so when I was looking for additional resources and didn't know where to look, I decided, okay, what's this EAP that they always talk about and nobody seems to be, you know, I don't nobody seemed to know about it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to call. So I called and I asked questions and they said, well, if you have a particular issue that you are dealing with, um, we can do a quick assessment and then you may be eligible to receive, let's say, like six sessions working with a therapist to work on that particular issue. So, for example, if I um, was dealing with becoming a caregiver for an aging parent and I wanted to work through that, after the assessment, then they would have me connect with a therapist and I would work with the therapist for a certain number of sessions on the issue of becoming a caregiver sort of unexpectedly, right? And the service is free of charge. Um, and so if you haven't already checked it out, even if you don't need it, maybe to give a phone call to your EAP to ask them what services are available, how it works, how often you can use it. Um, yeah. So it's just something that employers have and are able to offer their employees, but I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about using it. So that's something that I came across in my journey. Another thing was when I joined my credit union, I just assumed it was like a bank and I didn't really find out or explore what the benefits were. Um, and so when I was looking to buy a car, I saw that my credit union had, well, one, they offered loans. And then the second thing was they had like auto purchasing programs. So I was curious about that and I looked it up. And for me, um, as someone who is not very familiar with cars and I have never, what is that word? I've never haggled like for prices. Usually, if I'm like going somewhere, it's like that's the cost and then that's what you're going to pay. And so, one of my discomforts and fears around buying a car was essentially like the pink tax or like being charged more because I'm a woman and whoever was going to sell me a car was going to assume that I knew nothing and they could charge me a lot more. Right. And so, part of the program was working with somebody at a car dealership to help me and not ever did I feel like they were pressuring me. They, seemed to be working with the credit union to support that. And then um, if I was buying a new car, they would have the car delivered to the credit union location as opposed to me having to go to the car dealership to like bring it back. And I was like, oh, these are kind of really cool perks. Um, so, aside from having better like interest rates for members, would encourage you if you do have a credit union that you're part of, just to find out what their benefits are and how you can, um, participate in them or, just to find out more information. So that's the second one. Another sort of discovery I made on my journey that has been helpful and like, oh, nobody really talks about that. Um, the library system. So, as a kid, in school, we would go to the library and they taught us, like the the resources, the reference books, the Dewey Decimal System, and it was about books. And as I have gone to my library in recent times, um, one, they offer a lot of free programming. And so, I, what was the last program I went to? My program had a monthly ukulele class where you can learn ukulele for free, right? This is free of cost. I had gone to a program um, where we made like a no sew blanket that we could give to someone for the holidays. It was around Christmas time. And so again, like no fees for, materials, and it was an hour and some that we had to work on it. So, just different programs based on the library and what resources and people that they have available. So you may want to check out your library for that. And then also, I know that libraries continue to expand. And so uh, you can check out more than just books. There are some libraries that have lots of different tools, lots of different items that maybe people don't want to, can't afford buying it might not make any sense, but maybe they just need it for like a one time project or, because apparently I could check out an ukulele and take it home, but I had already been gifted one. Um, they may have like a sewing machine that you can borrow. They may have power tools that you can check out. My library also has state park passes. So if I can check out a book for 3 weeks, I can check out a state park pass for 3 weeks free of cost, and I just have to return it. So if I wanted to go, to a state um, park and not pay for parking, I could borrow one of those, check it out. And then we have like um, our local library branch has like a 3D printer, right? And so, one, if you're not connecting to your library for books and ebooks or audiobooks, which I highly encourage you to do, if you can make time, even if you're reading like one book a year, um, I think reading is really important and it keeps us uh, educated. It allows us to like expand our perspectives, um, and sort of, I don't know, there's just, I'm sure, different parts of our brains that are being used when we're reading a book as opposed to like listening to videos or scrolling like images, right? And so, in addition to that, like if you want to be involved or if you're looking for community, you may have community spaces with your library branch. And then again, if there's tools, there are lunch programs for families, for kids, for students. And so I would encourage you to check out your library branch. And if you're not seeing the kinds of resources that you need, asking, is there a way to bring in more programming that's relevant to what we need? Is there a way to have a sewing machine, that we can, check out and borrow? Um, and I know, I mean, still related to books, but when I recently reread one of my favorite books, The Art of Hearing Heartbeats, I was trying to find a Vietnamese translation. So I was looking online and I kept trying, couldn't find anything. But I discovered that there were two additional books in the series that I did not know about. And so I went into my library catalog. I looked for the books. There was only the first and the second one somewhere in the system. The third book did not exist. I was like, ah, so you have two of the three in the trilogy, but ah. So I went to the library and I was like, hey, I'm really bummed, like the third book doesn't exist anywhere within our library system. And they're like, really? And I was like, yes, I looked it up. And so they look it up and they're like, oh, you're right. Like, is there a way to like get the third book? And they're like, oh, okay. And they're like, we'll let you know when the book is available. I was like, oh, really? I was so excited because I love books. I really do. I love a physical book, but I've been trying to decrease like my consumerism and I don't have a lot of space for books because books take up so much of my space as it is. So I was like, okay, I'm going to check out books. And then if I really, really, really need the book, if I feel like it's like compelling, I'm going to like buy a copy, like a used copy. But it's just so nice to be able to like have a physical book and read it. And I was like so thankful that the library staff was willing to try to find a way to buy it. So that was amazing. So that, third thing. And then libraries are really kind of like the only third space that I feel like comfortable with. And, depending on your library, there may or may not be the kind of community you're looking for, but, maybe in the programming, maybe there's a group for such and such, and maybe that's something that you can work with your library to do. I'll also say that meeting with the branch manager, I have also been able to provide programming to the library and the community. And so, if that's something that you're interested in, if you're looking for ways to share, to be with the community, um, you have to talk, to someone who's in charge at a library, but it's also a pretty incredible experience to be able to share knowledge and information and to connect with people if that's something that you're open to doing. So that's another one. I'm trying to think if there's any other things I've discovered that not a lot of people know, but that's been really helpful. Um, what did I share already? We talked about, I know we talked about credit unions. Oh, EAP, credit unions, libraries for more than just books. Oh gosh, do you have any? Tell me you've come across something like this. Something that was so helpful and you're like, "Oh, I didn't know about that." Um, trying to think based on your county, you may or may not have a 211 um county phone number website that has an incredible amount of resources that are available to the community, usually through nonprofits. So, usually low cost or free of cost to people. A lot of people have been using 211 to find food resources because of SNAP benefits being unavailable. And so, sometimes if you're like moving from county to county and you don't know what's available, going online, seeing if the county has a 211 website or to call 211. You can ask and find out more information. There are different county programs. If find your county website to see what kinds of services they provide for individuals, for families, for children. So, maybe for your child, you can find certain resources, or for your aging parent, you can find different resources. And they have hopefully somebody that you can talk to that can connect you and explain, the kinds of programs. When I was working in community behavioral health, our county had a phone number that you could call. You would speak to a licensed therapist, um, somebody who was well trained in all of the county programs, whether contracted through the county or provided by the county. And then, based on what you shared about your needs, they would suggest, okay, this program may be good for you, this program might be good for them. And then they would like link you to the programs. They would give you the phone number, they might even do, a three-way phone call. So I would highly encourage you to just look in to see what community resources are available through your county, even if you don't necessarily need them yourself. It could be somebody that you live nearby, a neighbor. It could be a coworker that, you find out they're looking for certain services. And when you're just able to share that and really support. And I've been thinking a lot about how, the idea of, a wave, and how when the tide rises, all of the boats in the water rise with it. And so if it's something that you're able to do, even if it's just, 10 minutes of research where you're like, oh, I didn't know that our county had 211. Like, if anybody, needs certain things, this is a number you can check out. Just to be able to have that in your back pocket, or to know if there's a program where people can reach out to find out, um, what kinds of resources are available. And so, this has been a lot of fun. And I do hope that you are thinking about and willing to share some of yours. Um, Please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll share what I can in the video notes. And I will bid you adieu for now. And I do hope you know, and if you don't already know, that you will soon come to believe that who you are, exactly as you are, is worthy and deserving of unconditional love. I look forward to connecting with you next time. And until then, please take good care. Okay, bye bye.